Hey everyone, it's Kino here. Thanks for tuning in. This month's practice is all going to be about deepening your yoga journey. So whether you're new to the practice or you've been practicing for some time, this is an opportunity to take your poses and your practice deeper. Remember that yoga is a physical practice with a spiritual intention. So you'll be aligning yourself with not just the physical deepening, but really a spiritual deepening that brings you down into the center of yourself. Bring your hands together and inhale. We'll start off with an activation of the pelvic floor that will help you deepen your back bends. Draw inside the low belly and begin lifting the ribs away from the hips. We'll hold that there for a couple breaths, tuning into the inner body. Remember to keep the low belly really sucked in. Gently place your hands in prayer and then lift your ribs forward, sending the pubic bone back so you feel your sitting bones come off the ground and your back muscles working. We'll hold that for a couple of breaths. 1. Tune in to that empty space behind your pubic bone. 2, 3, 4. You should feel your back muscles gently working. And 5. Inhale, raise the arms up, lift the spine higher, gazing up towards the thumbs. 1. Nice and steady. 2. Keep the belly drawn in. 3, 4. And bring your hands back to the center and all the way back. Keeping the belly drawn in, we'll move over onto the hands and knees. Nice and steady on the hands and knees, rolling through some spinal extension and flexion movements that will articulate the whole movement through the spine, moving deep and down as you round the back, and then slowly, calmly exhale as you reach through that deep spinal extension, making space in between the joints of the spine, round your back, pulling it all the way under, tucking the tailbone, pressing up from the shoulders. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, nice, slow and steady, letting the whole movement roll through the whole spine, and then round the back, pulling it all the way under. 1 more time, deep exhalation, like you're letting it all go, rolling through each of the joints of the spine, round the back, all the way under. Walk the knees together, hands forward, and the puppy pose. Top of the head reaches down. Hold it here for a couple breaths, coming up onto the fingertips. 2, 3, 4. And if you're ready, walk your hands forward, placing your chest or your chin on the ground. 1. Just keep your forehead on the ground. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly walk it back up. Take your hands shoulder width apart, curl the feet under, and let's press back to downward facing. Let's hold downward facing for 5 breaths. 1, 2, keeping the belly drawn deeply in. 3, 4, and 5. Looking forward. Inhale, step your right foot forward, planting the left knee down, keeping the belly drawn deeply in. Send your right knee over the ankle, root down into the heel of your left foot, and inhale, gently come up, keeping the belly drawn in. Orient your sternum and your chest forward and the hands in prayer. 5 breaths. 1, 2, feel your legs underneath you. 3, 4, think about lifting the ribs up and away from the hips. And 5, inhale, raise the hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, hands back to prayer. Take your hands all the way down to the ground. Point the left toes forward. Let's step it back to plank. Plank down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, come forward to upward facing, and exhale, downward facing. All right, let's do the next side. So that's planting the right heel down, step the left foot forward, come up onto your fingertips for a moment, send the left knee forward, rooting down through the right foot, and inhale, come on up. Pause for a moment, sucking the belly in, orient the sternum forward, hands in prayer. 1, think about lifting the ribs away from the hips. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, raise the arms up, rooting down through your feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hands back to prayer. Hands all the way down to the ground. Roll the shoulders forward. Step it back to plank. Exhale down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, come forward to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Step the feet forward, making sure they're hips width apart. And we'll hang out here for another 5 breaths. 1, 2, tune into the inner body. 3, 4, and 5. Point your right foot back and inhale back to the 3-legged dog. Hold it there with your hip down for a couple breaths. 1, suck the belly in, tune into the inner body. 3, 4, and then slowly rise the leg up. Allow the hip to open just a little bit so you can really reach up, working through the left inner thigh, and we'll hold that for a couple breaths. 1, keep your shoulders oriented forward. 2, 3, keep engaging your right leg as much as you can. 4, and then bend your knee and let the hip open just for a couple breaths. And back to the center, planting that leg all the way down, and let's switch the sides. Point your left foot back, orient your pelvis forward, and then inhale, send it back. First, keep the hip down, activating your core a little bit, and just reach back. 1, 2, tune into that empty space in the center of the pelvis. 3, 4, and then allow the hip to open as you reach and spiral the leg back. 1, keep reaching up through your toes. 2, 3, feel it through that right inner thigh. 4, and then gently bend the knee, letting your hip open ever so slightly. 2, just one more breath, and back to the center, all the way back to downward facing dog. Come onto your knees, full child's pose just for a moment. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Looking forward, come down onto your elbows, planting your elbows on the ground, and take a moment and roll the thighs inward. Keep your belly sucked deeply in, and we'll begin working through the middle back. Inhale, lift the center of the chest, engaging your quadriceps. 1, roll forward as though you're lifting your rib cage forward and up. 2, as you work your spine, heightened emotionality may arise. In other words, you may be feeling sensations through the center of the chest. You may become aware of emotions. Keep your glute muscles soft and keep your mind calm and equanimous. 3, 4, and 5. Place your toes together and then slowly resting your rib cage down. Inhale, come all the way up to the Shalabhasana pose. 1, lifting your chest up and forward. 2, 3, and now you may find your glutes activate just a little. 4, and 5. Let your legs open, interlock your fingers, and lift the chest up and off of the ground. 1, 2, calm, steady breathing. 3, reach back with your feet. 4, and 5. Curl your toes under and inhale, come all the way forward to upward facing. Exhale, back to downward facing. Pausing for a moment, keeping the belly drawn deeply in. Couple breaths in downward facing. Take a moment, bend into the right knee. Take a moment, bend into the left knee, and then back to the center. All the way forward, planting your knees on the ground. Hands move all the way up into your iliac crest. So find your hip bones. Draw the belly deeply in, and we'll move into the pose called Ustrasana, the camel pose. Curl your toes under, and then inhale, send the hips forward. Be careful not to bend immediately back, but just move the hips forward. Being very careful and articulate about the expression of the inner body. So we're sucking the belly in. Bring your hands to your rib cage, and then inhale. Lift the ribs up to maximize the space between the ribs and the hips. And then slowly engage your back muscles as you begin to move gently back. Keep sending the hips forward. Cup your fingers under and reach the fingertips right to the heels. Check in with yourself and feel like, just ask yourself if this is enough. And if it is, you're going to stay here. Otherwise, reach the heels of the hands down onto the heels of the feet. And then see if it might be possible to point the toes, reaching the heels of the hands all the way down, dropping the head back. 5 breaths here in Ustrasana. 1, keep the belly drawn deeply in, calming the mind. 2, gazing at the tip of the nose, or you could even close the eyes. 3, be careful if you close the eyes, you might get a little dizzy. If you do, open the eyes and gaze at the nose. 4, and 5. Now inhale, reach your right hand up, up, up as high as you can. Hold it there for a moment, and then drop your right hand up over the top of your head, and we'll hold it for a couple of breaths. 1, 2, 3. Keep pushing your pelvis forward. 4, and 5. Take the right hand back on to the right foot, and then inhale, reach that left arm up, reach it high and up, pushing your pelvis even more forward, and exhale as you reach the left hand over the top of the head, and we'll hold it here for a couple breaths. 1, pushing your pelvis forward. 2, keep lifting the ribs away from the hips. 3, 4, and left hand down. Gently thrust into the knees. Inhale, come all the way up. Hold it there for a moment. Exhale, settle down. So we'll just have a few moments just to tune in here. Bringing your knees together, open the feet, and just slowly settle the hips down, placing your hands right on the knees, and we'll just hold it for a couple of breaths. If this is too stressful for your knees, just continue sitting on your feet, and we'll hold it again here. Hands in prayer. 2, keep the belly drawn in. 3, 4, and 5. Come on back up onto the knees. And now bring your hands right onto the hips, and we'll practice deepening our back bend. So if it's too much for you, remember to just stay at one stage, perhaps repeating the camel pose. But now we'll test out the strength and the flexibility of the back, asking for deeper spinal extension. Inhale as you send the hips forward. Exhale, root down into the base of the pelvis, drawing inside the low belly. Inhale, hands to the ribs. Lift the ribs up, 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 rooting down into your knees. Really feel that connection down, and then slowly exhale as you bend through the joints of the spine. Hands in prayer. 1, gazing back towards your mat. 2, be careful not to squeeze the butt, but instead just send the hips forward. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, take the hands down. Slowly, calmly, step your legs back. We're going to do the plank pose. Exhale, plank. Suck in the belly. Exhale all the way down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, come forward to upward facing. Exhale, back to downward facing. Okay, that was really intense. Remember, we're deepening our back bend, so be strong and be brave. Then look forward. Inhale, right foot forward, left knee down. We're going to come into some lunges. Point your left toes, come up onto your fingertips. And then inhale, hands in prayer, 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Calm the mind, tune into the inner body. And 5. Inhale, raise the arms right up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Taking your hands down, aiming the fingertips down, gently bend the left knee. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might reach back with your right hand, finding the foot, holding it there for a moment, and slowly release, releasing the foot, taking the fingers down. Inhale, come on back up, and squaring the shoulders forward, curl the toes under. Let's step it back to plank, and exhale down, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Step forward with the left foot. Exhale, place your right knee down, squaring your shoulders forward, coming up onto your fingertips for a moment. And inhale, squaring your chest gently forward, and hands in prayer, nice and steady. 1, calm, steady breathing. 2, really lift the ribs away from the hips. 3, cultivate a calm and equanimous mind. 4, and 5. Inhale, raise the arms up, thinking about rooting down into your right leg even as you rise up through the center line. 1, keep the mind calm and equanimous. 2, 3, 4, and reaching your fingertips down, gently bend your right knee, hold it here. 1, 2, 3. If you feel you've got the balance, slowly reach back. 4, and 5. Exhale slowly down. Pick it back up. Now as you reach back for your foot, you're going to feel like your world's teetering. If you lose your balance, you fall off to the side, no problem. You just got to try it maybe 100 more times. Take the hands forward and slowly step back, step in back. Exhale down to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Come down to your knees, crossing your feet underneath you, and let's come all the way forward, slowly rolling the spine gently down. Pause for a moment. Take your hand to your heart and the low belly and just take a moment and tune in. Back bending is such an emotional inner journey. Just allow that to run through the body, awakening those inner centers of awareness, welcoming a warm white light to just roll through your body. And then from that space of perfect equanimity, reach your hands under your shoulders, slowly and calmly lift the hips, and then inhale, come up onto the top of the head. As you send the hips up first, rolling the head under, then walk your hands down so that the elbows are all the way on the ground. Interlock your fingers like you're in a headstand and start to thrust into your chest so you begin to release the upper back, beginning to deepen the back bend, bringing your feet slowly closer together, working your legs towards straight. We'll hold this for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Walk your feet a little bit in, separating the feet a little, and then inhale, lift your head up off of the ground, wiggling through your head, and slowly reach your head back, reaching the shoulders back, lifting your head completely off of the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slowly place the head down. That should have been very difficult, so if you felt that was challenging, all is good. Urdhva Dhanurasana, the full back bend. Slowly inhale as you rise completely up off of the ground. An even distribution of weight between your hands and your feet. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly move your hips forward, and if it's possible for you, walk your hands a little closer to your feet. We'll hold it again for 5. 1, 2. Think about lifting the ribs away from the hips, sending the hips forward while you reach back with your chest towards your hands. 4 and 5. Walking your hands gently out. Exhale slowly all the way down. Pause for a moment. Okay, so that was Urdhva Dhanurasana. This is a difficult pose. So remember, we're thinking about deepening our back bends here. So we're building up to it slowly. And remember, if you're looking for something a little bit more beginner, tune into my 1-month beginner challenge and just start from there. This video is great when you're ready to take your back bends to that little bit deeper level. Or if you're just new to the practice and you want to kind of dive right in, it's a good place to start. We're going to do one more back bend, okay? So bend your knees into your chest and inhale, come on and roll right up. Good. Roll your feet underneath you, and then let's just easy step back, find the center of your mat, align your hands, bring the shoulders forward, and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, exhale, downward facing. And inhale as you roll your right foot forward, settling the hip down, bending the right knee, coming up onto your fingertips. Pause for a moment, and we'll begin the pigeon pose, the one-footed pigeon pose. So keeping your fingertips on the ground, inhale as you send your chest up and forward. Think about really squaring your hips forward so you avoid any kind of hike back. And then inhale as you lift the ribs away from the hips, taking your hands down and just maximize the bend through the back as you lift the ribs away from the hips, thinking about your upper back, and then slowly bending your left knee. And you can gently turn to the side, grabbing hold of your foot and reach over, sort of moving into just the first level of this posture, a very easy bind. Now to move further, you'll notice that the left shoulder has to move from internal rotation to external rotation. So pay attention to the grip. Reaching around, holding on to your big toe, roll the shoulder. So now the armpit opens to the sky and your chest can point forward. Then reach your right hand up over the top of the head, holding onto your foot, get a good grip. Inhale as the chest moves up and forward, and exhale, elbows reach towards each other. Nice and easy. We'll hold for 5. 1. Think about maximizing the space between the ribs and the hips. 2. Elbows reach towards each other. 3. You can take a deeper grip if you want, but it's not necessary. 4 and 5. Slowly release, lifting the head, shifting it forward. Release one hand to the ground, the other hand to the ground. Slowly take a moment and let the spine readjust. Curl the left toes under, step it back to the plank pose. Hold plank for a moment. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Glide the left foot forward, settling the hips down. We're going to try for the other side. Now don't be surprised if the other side is tighter or more flexible. Rolling your shoulders back as you send the chest forward. Feel like you're dragging yourself forward, almost like you're in the Sphinx pose, which we did at the beginning. Really square your hips totally forward. And again, think about lifting the ribs up and away from the hips. Ribs up and away from the hips, maximizing that real deep movement. Then reach your hands back and engage the muscles of the back. Think about opening each of the joints of the spine. We'll hold it for a couple breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slowly bend your knee. You might be able to reach back over the top of your head and find your foot. If not, roll the shoulder around, taking the grip in the same way we did before. Hands reach towards each other, and 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slowly release. Inhale, coming back to the center, squaring the hips forward for a moment, walking the hands back. Remember, this was our peak pose for today. So stepping back into plank, and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Slowly come on forward, bringing your legs all the way through. Let's come on to Dandasana position. Stretching the legs out and draw the belly in. Reach your hands next to the hips. 5 breaths. 1. Take a moment and just congratulate yourself for doing the practice. Deepening the back bends requires so much bravery and courage. So you were so brave today to complete this practice. It doesn't matter how deeply you got, it just matters that you showed up, you did the inner work, you cultivated a calm and equanimous mind. Look forward to your toes. Reach onto the big toes and inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, really suck in the belly and engage your quadriceps as you elongate the back muscles. 3, 4, tune into the inner body. And 5, slowly let it release. Inhale, gently come up. Roll your spine, gently coming all the way down. Let's stay in constructive rest position for a moment. Hands on the belly or the abdomen or wherever is comfortable for you. Gently draw the knees into the chest, give yourself a little tug. And then slowly legs up. We'll have 5 breaths here. 1, tune into the inner body and just let your mind reach into a state of peace. 2, 3, 4. Slowly open the legs, bringing yourself into a reclining straddle. 1, shift your hands either onto the abdomen or under the knees if you like. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly bring the legs back to the center, bend your knees, and slowly lie all the way down. Stretching out the legs and the arms, and just let a soft smile rest on your lips, almost as though joy and happiness are emanating forth from your heart. Tune in and just listen. Back bends are a deep inner stimulator, as though they wake up the inner body. So listen and feel. Feel the heart center, the space behind the sternum. And allow yourself a deeper breath, tuning into the inner body, maintaining a calm and equanimous mind. Move the fingers and toes, bend your knees, bend your elbows. Hug yourself in for a moment, give a little thanks. Rolling over onto the side. Slowly come on back up. Move your hands in prayer for a moment, and just take a moment of inner reflection, calming the mind, and just practice patience, tolerance, and humility. Accept yourself, accept your whole world. Inhale. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide into the inner tradition of yoga. Be strong, be brave, practice yoga, and change your world to a more peaceful place. Namaste.